The desert range blazed under a ruthless sun, heat rippling off the sand like the air itself was melting. A line of Navy SEAL snipers lay prone in the dust, rifles braced, sweat cutting paths through the dirt on their faces as shifting crosswinds toyed with every shot. Mississippi. The instructor's voice snapped across the range. Another round flew wide. Another steel plate stood untouched. Miss again. Frustrated curses slipped through clenched teeth. These were elite marksmen, men forged through years of brutal training. But today, beneath the endless glare, their bullets scattered uselessly into the sand. Boots crunched on gravel. A lone figure approached the firing line, slender, composed, Marine uniform crisp against the haze. She carried her rifle with the easy balance of someone who treated it like an extension of herself. Sergeant Elena Ramirez. Most of the SEALs barely glanced her way. A few smirked. One scoffed quietly. A Marine. A woman. On their range. This was their ground, their brotherhood. She ignored the looks, dropped prone at the end of the line, and adjusted her scope with unhurried precision. She settled into the dirt like she belonged to it. Wind dragged across the range. Targets waited at 400, 600, 800 meters. The same plates the SEALs had struggled with all morning. Elena exhaled. Crack. A distant plate rang clear and sharp. She fired again. Crack. Ring. Again. Crack. Ring. 10 shots. 10 hits. The echoes rolled over the desert like distant thunder. The SEALs stared as she rose, brushed dust from her sleeves, and stepped back. That's how it's done, she said quietly, walking past. Murmurs rippled through the line. Jacobs, broad-shouldered and scar-faced, their unofficial anchor, scowled. Lucky, he muttered. But they had all seen it, the rhythm of her breathing, the steady squeeze of the trigger. Luck hadn't touched that performance. What they didn't see was the memory burning behind her eyes. Her brother Daniel, the best sniper she'd ever known. She had held him while the life drained from him, enemy fire cracking overhead, his rifle still warm between them. His last words had carved themselves into her forever. Don't miss, Elena. Every round she fired carried that voice. Every hit was a promise kept. To the SEALs, she was an outsider. To her, this was just another place the promise had to hold. When the sun dipped lower, the instructor called for another round. The SEALs dropped again, pride sharpening their focus. Elena lay beside them, calm and still. This wasn't about ego. It was about never missing. By the next morning, the base buzzed with talk of her perfect run. Some called it a fluke. Others called it arrogance. All of them felt the sting. Jacobs carried it the hardest. When Elena walked into the mess hall, the room quieted. She took her tray, sat alone, and ate in peace. She thinks she's one of us, Jacobs muttered. Let's see how she does under pressure. That chance came at dawn. Stress test, the range master announced. Moving targets. Time limits. Wind shifts. Elevated heart rate. This isn't about clean strings. It's about hitting when everything says you can't. Confidence returned to the SEALs. Chaos was their world. The buzzer sounded. Targets darted along rails. Pop-ups vanished in seconds. Wind shoved bullets off course. The shooters sprinted, dropped, fired, moved again, lungs burning. Shots rang. Some connected. Many didn't. Elena moved like water. Rifle up, down, firing, reloading in seamless flow. Even when the timer screamed, even when her chest ached for air, her shots landed. Hit. 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 When it ended, her score stood untouched. Jacob stepped close, anger in his voice. You think this proves you belong? She met his glare, calm as ever. I don't care about belonging. Missing costs lives. If you think this is about you, you're already behind. The silence hit harder than her shooting. Later, alone in the armory, she cleaned her rifle with ritual care. Her reflection in the scope looked tired, haunted. Don't miss, she whispered. I won't. A young SEAL, Miller, hovered at the door. How do you do it? He asked. How do you never miss? She slid the bolt home. I remember who I'm shooting for. Failure stops being an option. The real test came with the gauntlet, 2 kilometers of brutal terrain, weighted packs, surprise targets, graded as a unit. They ran together. Shot together. When others missed, she hit. When Miller struggled with wind, she corrected him. When Jacob's scope fogged, her quiet call steadied his shot. Halfway through, they stopped doubting her. They started listening. At the final ridge, a nearly invisible plate waited almost a kilometer out, swaying in the wind. Jacobs tried. Missed. Again. Missed. He lowered his rifle. Your shot. Elena settled in. The wind tugged. Her heartbeat slowed. Don't miss. Crack. A breath later, the plate rang. Dead center. Respect replaced disbelief in Jacob's eyes. They walked back in silence, not from exhaustion, but from what they'd witnessed. That evening, in the mess hall, Miller sat beside her first. Others followed. Jacobs took the seat across from her. You made that shot, he said quietly. I couldn't. Everyone misses someday, she replied. What matters is what you do after. That night in the armory, she cleaned her rifle again. In the steel, for a moment, she saw Daniel. I didn't miss today, she whispered. I won't tomorrow. By morning, the looks had changed. Nods replaced smirks. A hand clapped her shoulder. Jacobs gave a short, respectful dip of the head. She hadn't demanded her place. She'd earned it when it counted. When pressure rose and targets came alive, she showed them what it meant to never miss. She carried more than a rifle. She carried a promise.